SSFeatures is a time-saving browser extension added right into Smartsheet. Get started with your SSFeatures trial by visiting smartworkflowguru.com/SSFeatures. Upon completion of your trial, remember to use code GURU to save 20% on your first subscription. Click the Get Your Trial button, and you'll be taken to the browser extension store for your browser. The supported browsers include Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Safari. For this tutorial, I'm using Chrome, so I'm taken to the Chrome Web Store. Follow the instructions to add SSFeatures to your browser. In Chrome, you'll click the Add to Chrome button and follow the on-screen prompts. Upon confirmation it has been installed, navigate to Smartsheet and log in if you're not already logged in. Otherwise, if you have a sheet open, refresh your browser. Upon refreshing, you'll see the new SSFeatures menu. Click OK to dismiss the on-screen prompt. Before looking at the SSFeatures menu, I'll show one of the original features, spell check. Typing in ASDF, we see that red line come underneath. If I click on that, then it tells me a possible misspelled word. Now I have the option here to ignore it, and if I click to ignore it, it will be added to my list of ignored words, which I will show you how to manage later. Next, I'll type tire. Now I will type tire with a different spelling. And there we go. It has that red line under there. Now when I click this, it does recognize that TYRE could be some other possible words. I could ignore it. Or if I'm not in the United States and I spell tire, TYRE, I can come to the SSFeatures menu, go to spell check, and we have the option to change dictionary. I'll change it to, let's say, English Australia. I'll click OK, and now TYRE is recognized as the proper spelling of tire. Remember that I added ASDF into my dictionary. What if I really didn't want that in my dictionary? How can I remove it? If I go back to the SSFeatures menu, back to that spell check, I can look at Manage Ignored Words. If I want to remove an ignored word from this list, click the trash can to delete it, and after clicking OK, it now properly detects that ASDF is not properly spelled. While there's a few words on the screen here in column 1, I'm going to show the capitalization options. So under that SSFeatures menu, I can choose Set Capitalization. And I'm going to look at column 1 here. And I can choose, for example, to make everything uppercase. Click OK. It capitalizes every letter. Let's try another one. I'll change column 1 to lowercase. Hit OK. It's back to lowercase. Let's take one more look at that capitalization. We have several different options beyond uppercase and lowercase. We have title case, first letter uppercase, and sentence case. I invite you to try these other capitalization options and see which ones work best for you. Next, I'll show another of the original features that were rolled out with this extension, and that is AutoSort. An easy way to get to that is to left-click on column 1, or the column that you want to sort, and I'll say Sort Rows. You're likely familiar with this dialog box already. However, one thing that's now new is the SSFeatures logo up there at the top, and a box to say Sort Automatically. If I check that, hit OK. Didn't change anything here because by luck, I already have everything sorted ascending. But I go ahead, I'm going to add in something that starts with, let's say, an A, apple. After I add that word, it jumps to the top. Let's add another word, say orange. Automatically jumps to the middle of the list. And this works whether you use it ascending or descending. If you wish to turn off AutoSort, you can go back into the column option menu and choose sort rows and uncheck the sort automatically box. Going back to the SSFeatures menu, take a look at the View Sheet Stats option. Clicking on that displays a grid of many different sheet stats with limits and the capacity, where you are in the sheet, and how much you have remaining. Because at this time, a standard grid view is limited to 20,000 rows or 400 columns with a total cell limit of 500,000, I can easily see here where I am with my sheet as it grows larger. Likewise, there are limits on cross-sheet references, inbound cells, and the number of total cells that are referenced. Furthermore, if you have a large sheet that you are concerned about becoming full because of any one of these limits, you can click on Alert Settings and set an alert threshold. The default is for the alert to notify you when you reach 80% of the threshold, but you can change that, as well as disabling the alert on all sheets or just on this sheet. If you change any of these settings, for example, make this 90%, remember to click Save. Being that you are very astute, you see there are 11 columns in the sheet stats, but only 2 are showing. That means there's some hidden columns. Let's take a look at how SSFeatures helps us with that. Click Close to dismiss the sheet stats window. And to manage hidden columns with using SSFeatures, there are 2 options. You can click this eye here in the right vertical navigation bar to go to the Hide Unhide Column Views window, or you can go back to the SSFeatures menu at the top and click Hide Unhide Columns. Notice there are several options in this window. You can save the view. What this will do is allow you to save the current status of the hidden and unhidden columns for later use. Example, I'll call this view 2 columns. Upon clicking OK, I can choose to load the view, where I'll be given a drop down of the options. But first, I'm going to show how you can unhide selectively specific columns. I'll click a few for demonstration. As I check these columns, you'll see them appear in the sheet behind this window. Demonstrating this load view, I have the 2 columns view already chosen. Click OK, and it goes back to that 2 column view. If there's a save view you do not wish to continue using, you can click Delete View, choose the one you want to delete, and click Delete. And now there are no more views to load. Additional features of this window is to change the sorting of the columns as you see them here if you wish to try to find a column alphabetically, ascending or descending. You can filter by visibility to show you only the hidden columns or only the visible columns. Furthermore, you can search for a column by name if you have a lot of columns and you know the name and you want to find it. Lastly, you can choose to unhide all columns, which will show all the columns in the sheet. SSFeatures is good about giving you prompts after you first install the extension. I'm going to close that for now. With more columns in this sheet, I may be unsure where some of them are located. SSFeatures solves that too. Going back to the SSFeatures menu, choose Go to Column, and just like the Hide Unhide window, you can sort the columns by name. You can filter by visibility or find by name. I want to find column 1. I'll type column 1. After typing that in and filtering it down to the one I want, clicking on that column brings me directly to that column and highlights it. This is very useful in those sheets with tens of columns, hundreds of columns, so that way you can easily find your columns. While we're on the subject of column management, going back to that SSFeatures menu again, we have the option to find column IDs. Again, with the same filtering options as we've seen before, the only difference is now I have the option to filter by ID. This view is extremely useful if you are working with any automation tools or API development that requires column IDs. This makes it extremely easy to find the IDs to use in your automations or your scripting. And all you have to do is find the column name that you wish to get the ID for and copy it to your clipboard and paste it to where you need it to be. Looking at another column management feature, and that is the View Column Info. That is under the Create Manage Columns menu. Clicking on View Column Info, you can see a list of all the columns in this sheet, along with the type. If there's a description on the column, it'll display here. Any column formulas will be displayed here, along with any drop-down options that you can copy and paste for use elsewhere, and the same for contact list options. If there is a restriction on the column that it remains a specific type, such as a date, that is indicated in the Restricted to Type column. If any formatting is applied to a column, it'll be shown in that format column, as is seen here with the yellow background and the red text. Scrolling to the right, you'll see additional information about each column, including the column ID. This is an extremely useful feature for documentation purposes, as you can choose to export all this data to a spreadsheet. And if you need to find information on a specific column, there are search features here. In the advanced search, you can choose the scope of the search. Back in the SSFeatures menu, under the Manage Columns menu, there's an option to bulk create columns. Clicking on that exposes a window where you can enter the names of multiple columns, the column type, whether you want to restrict the values or not, and if you wish to put a column formula in all the columns, you can do that too. I will demonstrate. I've put in 3 columns here with the names. Upon clicking OK, scrolling to the right, there are the 3 new columns. A lot of columns in this sheet aren't named very descriptively. In order to save time, instead of having to go into the properties of each column that I wish to rename, again, I can go back to that Manage Columns menu and choose Bulk Rename Columns. To rename the columns, simply replace the original name with a new name. I'll rename these 2 for demonstration. Click Next. It'll give a confirmation. Upon clicking OK, you'll see that this column is named a better name, and the first column here to the left is now called My New Name. Remember to save the sheet after any of these changes. Going back to that menu, there is an option to create a column template. This is very useful if you have columns, say with formulas, or a set of columns that you want to replicate in another sheet. Click the Create Column Template, and you can choose whichever columns you wish, or you can select all the columns, and upon clicking Next, you can name the template. Clicking OK will save that template. And I have a sheet here I've set up just for this tutorial with 1 column, and I want to take all the columns from that original sheet and paste them in here. Simply go to SSFeatures, and under the Column Management menu, click Paste Column Template. It'll show me all the columns that are being pasted, the types of columns, and if I expand one of them, say the formula column, it will give me additional information about it that is unlocked, if there's a description or not, and the formula. Click Paste, and all those columns will be pasted into the sheet. Notice that the formula column has the formula. That column that has the formatting still has it applied. And the drop-down has the same options as in the original sheet. Furthermore, you'll notice if there is a column with the same name that is in the template as well as in the new sheet that the template is being pasted into, it'll still add that column, but add a number after it, as is the case with the primary column. A column management feature that may be a little hidden is the ability to delete more than 5 columns at once. Let me demonstrate. I'll scroll to the right, and selecting more than 5 columns and choosing to delete them, you'll get the normal Smartsheet message stating that only 5 columns can be deleted at one time. However, you can choose to delete with SSFeatures and the columns will be deleted. The next feature to take a look at is importing into an existing sheet. For this, I'm going to navigate to another sheet that's already been created for this tutorial. It's called Guru Stores, and it is empty. However, I have a list in Excel with 5,000 stores that I wish to bring in this existing sheet. Going back to Smartsheet, remember, choosing File, Import, and choosing Import Microsoft Excel will not import directly into the sheet. Instead, it'll create a new sheet in Smartsheet. In those cases where you have an existing sheet and you need to bring in data from an Excel or a CSV, instead, with SSFeatures, you can choose Import into this sheet. Upon clicking that, a window will appear advising you to back up your sheet before importing data. Being this is a blank sheet, I don't need to worry about that. So click Next. Make note of the supported file types, as there are more than just CSV and Excel. Click Choose File to open your computer's File Explorer and choose the file you wish to import. Upon clicking Open, you can then click Next. For the target, you can choose to add all the data to the end of the sheet. If the sheet had existing data, I could add everything in my Excel file to the end. Or I can choose to merge the data based on a key column value. We'll look at that shortly. Lastly, if there's existing data in the sheet, I can replace all the sheet rows with the data from my input file. Appending the data to the end of the sheet is the safest option if you're unsure, as it will not overwrite any existing data. I'll leave it on Append all the data to the end of the sheet and click Next. On the filter screen, you can choose to filter the data you're importing. As an example, my spreadsheet has stores by state. If I only wanted to import stores for a specific state, I could use filter logic to do that. The tooltip gives an example of how to write the filters. I will say, add another filter. I will select the column of state. Then you select the operator. I will choose is equal to, and I will type AZ for Arizona. Let's say I want to add a second state. I can add another filter. Again, choose state is equal to. This time, I will choose to bring in California in addition to Arizona. The filter logic has made an assumption thinking I want to have the state field equal to Arizona and California. However, I want to make a slight change to that. Instead, I want that to be an OR. With these filters in place, click Next. Mapping is where you choose which fields in your source sheet map to your sheet columns. It happens that my source sheet and my sheet in Smartsheet have the same column names, so it's automatically chosen them. If the sheet names do not match exactly, you can map them yourself by using the drop-down. Or, in the case of this year of store opening, That is a formula in my sheet, so it does not map to anything in my source sheet. Click Next. And for the dates option, if your source sheet has dates, you can choose how to process those dates with SSFeatures. I will leave it on treat dates as text. Click Import. Once the import is complete, it'll notify you, and you can click Done. See that all the states in this sheet are either California or Arizona. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, there are 1,283 rows instead of the 5,000 because I have filtered out all other states except Arizona and California. Remember, I chose to append the data to the end of the sheet. Now I will show you how to replace all this data, and I will bring in all 5,000s with no filter. Remember, the option to import into the sheet is under File or under the SSFeatures menu towards the bottom that states Import into this sheet. I will use that option this time, and the source will be the same. This time for the target, I will choose to replace all sheet rows with the data from the input file. There are filters here. It remembered the filters from my previous import, but you can clear the filters by choosing to delete them. Clicking Next brings me to the mapping. That will stay the same, and so will the date options. Click Import. This import is completed. I'll click Done. I'll scroll all the way to the bottom, and there are all 5,000 rows. Next, I'll show you how to merge data. For this part of the tutorial, I've created another Excel sheet with 3 rows from the original sheet. And for the store name, prefix the store name with updated. It is important that the store ID remain unchanged, as this is the key value to be used for matching. Once again in Smartsheet, the Import Sheet option can be accessed under the SSFeatures menu. This time for the source, I'll choose the file with the updates. And for the target, I'll choose Merge Data into the sheet based on a key column value. I will skip the filters, and in the mapping section is where the unique identifier column is chosen. In this example, it is store ID. By clicking Next, I'll leave the date options the same and click Import. Go to the very bottom, there are still 5,000 rows. But looking at the top, looking at store ID 1, 3, and 4, there are now the new names. For the next part of the tutorial, I'll be using a set of project sheets with a project intake and 3 project plans to show even more features. I'll start by opening my project plan 1 and going to the SSFeatures menu, take a quick look at some export options. There's the option to export to PDF with some various options. Clicking OK generates the PDF, and opening it up, we can see the result. Close that. Go back to the SSFeatures menu again and look at the Export to Excel option. Notice the option to include the column descriptions in the export. Click OK and see what this looks like. The exported Excel sheet includes the visible columns from the project plan, with the column names in the first row and the column descriptions in the second row. Navigating back to Smartsheet, the final option in the SSFeatures menu that has not been discussed yet is the conditional formats. Hovering over the conditional formats brings up a submenu giving the option to copy formatting rules, delete rules, or remove specific columns from rules. This allows copying of conditional formatting rules from this sheet to additional sheets. Before we do that, let's take a look at an alternative way of accessing this feature. This feature can also be accessed by clicking on the conditional formatting icon at the top of the sheet. Clicking on Copy Rules gives us the option to select rules individually or select all the rules. I'm going to show selecting all the rules. Click OK. Open a second project plan. Click on the conditional formatting icon again and choose Paste Rules. Upon pasting the rules, all the rules from the first project plan are now here and applied in the sheet. Click OK and ensure the sheet is saved after copying the rules. The same can be done in another sheet, Project Plan 3. This time, instead of using the conditional formatting icon, I'll choose to go to the SSFeatures menu, Conditional Formats, and Paste Rules. The same window shows up, and I click OK and save to save those rules. Should some of the rules need to be deleted, we can do that too by going to Conditional Formats in the SSFeatures menu, choosing to delete rules, and selecting one. Clicking OK will delete just that one rule. Choosing Conditional Formats, Remove Columns from Rules, brings up a list of columns in the sheet. Remember, these rules only have one column affected, which is the status column. If I check Status, then OK, it'll remove that column from the rules, and because that's the only column affected or used by these rules, it will remove all the rules associated with that column. Some additional features not in the SSFeatures menu will now be shown. The first I will show are the features related to automations. Clicking on Automation, Manage Automation Workflows, then editing a current workflow. Notice there's a Copy button to copy this automation to another sheet. There is an Improvements button in the lower left. Clicking on the Improvements button allows you to disable the improvements if you wish, and gives an additional description. I'll leave these improvements enabled and add a condition that has a field with a very long name in it that I've added for demonstration purposes. You can see the name of the field is cut off. I will save this automation, and going back into the editing of the automation, the improvements are now applied and the full name of the column is seen. Let me show that side by side again on the screen. I'm going to delete this condition because it's not needed. The most powerful feature on the screen is the Copy button, allowing you to copy this automation workflow to another sheet. Upon clicking Copy, navigate to another sheet. In my case, this is Project Plan 2. Open the automation, choose Manage Automation Workflows, Create from Scratch, and there's a Paste button. Click Paste, and the automation is now pasted. SSFeatures also gives you some direction stating that some automations don't properly copy over, not because of SSFeatures, but because of how Smartsheet has implemented them. The automation that I copied works well with SSFeatures, and it copied the full automation. I can save it, and it is now valid in my sheet. If I wish, I can copy it to another sheet. Going back to Project Plan 1 again, I'm going to show you a very powerful feature that's not accessible in the SSFeatures menu. It is the ability to copy cross-sheet references from one sheet to another. In the sheet summary, there is a field called Project ID, and I've already entered in PRJ1. Let me open my intake sheet and see what can be pulled in based on that ID. In the intake sheet, in addition to the project ID, there is a project name and a region. Let's pull those into columns in Project Plan 1 using some cross-sheet references that can later be used for reporting purposes. Start with that in a couple columns just to the left here. Call it project name and region. In order to pull this data in based on that project ID, I'll need a formula and a couple cross-sheet references. Using SSFeatures, I can create the cross-sheet references in bulk without having to do them individually. I'll show you how to do that now. Clicking in any cell on the sheet, right-click and bring up the cell menu, choose Manage References, then choose Create. Upon choosing Create, search for that sheet, choose Project Intake. I'll choose all the columns because I want to create references for all of these. After selecting those columns, choose Bulk Create References. SSFeatures brings up a window allowing you to give a standard name to each of the references. It suggests using sheet name - column name. I like to use a pipe here instead. I'll change that. There are some additional settings if you wish to use capitalization of various sorts, or put in a delimiter. I'm going to leave these settings as is. Feel free to experiment with these as you wish. Gives a confirmation of the sheet selected and the selected columns. Click Next. It will then give an example of what these cross-sheet references will look like and their naming convention. Click Create. After confirmation they have been completed, click Close to dismiss that window and save the sheet. Click on any cell, open that cell menu again by right-clicking and choose Manage References. Here you can see the cross-sheet references have all been created. Another nice feature added by SSFeatures is that you can view the references. And in viewing the references, you can get a nice grid of all of these. Gives you a link to the source sheets, in addition to other metrics about each reference. Furthermore, for documentation purposes, you can export this. And here is what the exported cross-sheet references look like. Okay, going back to Smartsheet, click OK to dismiss this window. And you can see here, you can also copy cross-sheet references. I'll show how this works shortly after writing a formula here in the sheet. I'm going to dismiss that Manage Reference menu, and I'm going to put a couple formulas here in the project name and the region cells and pull in that information. Okay, both of those formulas are working in these cells. I'll make them column formulas. Save that sheet. These formulas and cross-sheet references can now be brought into the other project plans. I'll start first with copying the cross-sheet references. On any cell, right-click and bring up that Manage References menu again. Click on Copy Cross-Sheet References. You can choose to select a single reference to copy or select them all. I will select them all because all of them are needed in my other sheets. After selecting them, click OK. Dismiss that Sheet Reference Manager. Go to the next sheet you wish to paste them into. Right-click on a cell, Manage References, paste cross-sheet references. Follow the on-screen instructions and click Paste. After they have been pasted, close that window, refresh the sheet, and they are now in there. Likewise, go to Project Plan 3, use the same method. Those cross-sheet references are now in this sheet. The next step is to go back to Project Plan 1 and copy both of the columns that were just added, the project name and the region. Select both of those columns, right-click, and choose Copy Columns. Going to Project Plan 2, click on that first column there, right-click, paste the columns. They can be reordered as needed. Save that. If the columns are blank, check that the summary field for the project ID is filled out. This is PRJ2. Upon putting that in, like magic, everything comes in. Save. Likewise, I'll navigate to Project Plan 3, paste in those two columns. I'm going to drag them over to the left. Click on that summary sheet, type in PRJ3, and there we go. That is how you can bulk create cross-sheet references, export them for documentation, and copy those cross-sheet references to other sheets. Very powerful when you combine that with copying the column where it brings the full column formula over that uses those references. The final part of this tutorial will look at SSFeatures in the context of a Smartsheet report. I will open a report that I have created based on these three project plans. This report is grouped by the status of each task, and I will show all the options in the SSFeatures menu for reports. One of the really novel features is the ability to export this grouped report to a PDF. Clicking on Export to PDF brings up a window where you can choose various settings. Clicking OK will generate the PDF, and displaying it in the browser here, you can see the grouped rows for each status includes a status name and the associated count, In addition, at the very top is the total with the total count. I'll close this PDF and look at the next option, which is to export this grouped row report to Excel. Again, this window gives various options, and I have all of the 4 options at the bottom checked so you can see what they look like. Here is the exported report in Excel with the grouped rows. In the very first row are the column names. The second row includes the column descriptions. And each grouped header row is bold, in italics, and in the is grouped row column, the value is true. For each child row under the group, the is grouped row column is false. Back in Smartsheet, I'll click on that SSFeatures menu again and look at the next option, the familiar hide/unhide columns. Just like in a regular sheet, you can use this to hide and unhide columns in reports, save the views, and have access to all the filters to find the columns that you need. Back in that menu, we have the Go to Column. If you have a really wide report, you can select a column, such as project name here, and it will highlight it and bring you there. The Find Column IDs in a report will give you the virtual column IDs for each of these report columns. Click OK to dismiss that. Go to the View Report Stats. In the View Report Stats window, it'll give you a count of the rows, the columns, and the cells. Next, under View Column Info, very similar to a sheet, you can see details about each column in this report, along with the virtual column ID used in this report, and you also have the ability to export this for documentation purposes. Further down the list in the SSFeatures menu for reports is a nice navigational feature, which is View Source Sheets. In this window, you can click on a source sheet. It'll give you the location of the sheet in your Smartsheet account, in addition to details about the owner, the sheet ID, and even a link to that sheet. The View Column Descriptions option will tell you about how column descriptions work in reports using SSFeatures, including performance limitations and Smartsheet limitations to be aware of. In order to see the column descriptions, mouse over the info icon and they will display just as in a sheet. And finally, in the SSFeatures menu, there is also spell checking that is active with the same options to change the dictionary and so forth. Thank you for watching this complete comprehensive tutorial on using SSFeatures for Smartsheet. Remember, you can get your trial and a discount code at smartworkflowguru.com/SSFeatures. Thank you again.